Well, we are back here with The Line, where Matthew and I like to discuss AI, and we always start our podcast with a little conversation about AI in our current lives, and then shift it over to an interview and close it out with a nice conclusion of the whole sequence. We are coming towards the end of what we're considering our first season here. This is, I believe, episode 8. And we've talked about this being a 10-episode arc, which is kind of crazy. I think when we started this, I don't know if we were quite sure where it was going to go yet, but yeah.
Yeah, but I like the idea that there's a start and there's an end.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. And it's been really interesting to, as we always say, to sort of witness this social construction of an AI ethics, which I think is really cool. And one of the ways that is,
the line's moving again. Shocker.
Yeah. It's moving for us. It's interesting. It's moving in, like, I think we've seen also in the interviews, it moving with the way that the technology has changed in the last, when did we start this? 4 months ago. I feel like we've seen different lines come up in the interviews over that time. Like that line has shifted as well for people, and their uses for it have changed pretty dramatically, I think, since we first started this. In just 3 or 4 months. And
I feel like there's like different pockets of, see if you agree, there are pockets of conversations happening around it. Like when I think we first opened the door to the vibe coding, right? And the stuff we talked about with Ivan, there's like one conversation happening there, but then there's other conversations and interactions happening on the everyday, like with Jess. And yeah, I talk to it every day and it's helping me do things at home and the coloring sheets. And then there's writing and your bumps with others and writing, which is like you dropped the social construction of technology, which is sort of where a couple months ago now, I sort of brought that back into the conversation because you can just watch everybody is negotiating. What are these things? What do we do with them? What are they good at? Where's the no-go? And
I think one of the things that we've seen recently with this social construction is there's been a few graduation speeches lately that have gone a little bit viral, and at least in my algorithm, where prominent people are standing up and talking about how AI is wonderful and going to change the world and everything, and the students will boo them very loudly.
Yeah, they're pushing back.
I think it's interesting.
Which is, again, interesting. And I find myself, so it's not just your algorithm, it's coming to me too. And I'll be honest, when I first see them, my reaction to seeing the little tagline of, graduation talk gets booed, it's actually not, I don't even listen to what they're saying. I look at the person and I can kind of imagine what that kind of person is like. And then I go, okay, I think I understand what the folks who are listening, the students who are listening, are reacting to in the talk. But unfortunately, again, with news, with everything, it gets collapsed down to, oh, it's bad AI. I'm not certain that's what people are doing.
Well, and it gets back to something. It's something that you and I have talked to before, which is that I don't think anyone really knows what it is yet, or like in a way that, we've talked about universities trying to establish some sort of policy,
guidelines,
right, for AI, for your guidelines. But the problem is you have in those conversations, you'll have, person A thinks that it's just a cheating machine for people to write essays. Person B thinks it's a Terminator. Person C thinks it's a great research assistant, and person D thinks it's like a revolutionary coding tool. But that's 4 like incredibly different views of what this is doing, and how can you establish some sort of guidelines when you're having 4 very different conversations?
And then especially it's, and on top of not knowing what it is and what they don't know and what they do know, there's a large majority, I believe, of folks who have no clue whatsoever for whatever reason. They've just decided, no, yes, whatever, which is interesting because, sorry to crack the mirror for people, but you're already interacting with AI in tons of different ways. You just don't realize it. Mini sidetrack. I was listening to the book recently. I don't know if we talked about this, the Apple's first 50 years. One of the Apple bloggers, like the original OG Apple bloggers, wrote up a book of the Apple's first 50 years to celebrate the right? Did you know that in essence, how I'm looking at my phone right here, how Face ID on a phone on the Apple devices, essentially, how it works is AI. It's AI on your device to keep it more secure. Because one of the things he wrote about in the book was how does it keep up with our aging faces, right? Or remember when we had to put masks on or had to put on glasses right now? That's how your phone knows you, is it learns your face. And I'm being careful with learn, but learning, so AI, it learns the patterns, it picks up on the patterns, and it encodes those into your device. It doesn't send them anywhere else. Thus it being a passkey. However, that's my point. Like, people are interacting with AI all the time. Where's your line, right?
Yeah,
where's the line? Like, where do you want to put
the tough part with education is that in education, I think that there is a very serious conversation that needs to happen about what is learning, what is knowledge, what does it mean to actually learn something and be able to use it. And my hope would be that this sort of AI era would have us having those conversations. But instead, what we're focused on is, Johnny's going to cheat on his English essay.
Freaking out. What do you think of this? What do you think of screen bans for kids?
Oh man, that's a complicated
one with you have 4 kiddos.
Yeah.
What's your initial take? I have an initial take. What's your initial take? We can always unpack it later.
My initial take is that it's a symptom. It's a nuanced issue, obviously. It's a symptom of a much larger problem. And you know me, I'm going to go straight to the, embodiment of being in a world, right? If we are attached to our screens at all times and we are not feeling very entangled with our world around us. However, there is a reality of what our world is right now, which is a world that is connected through this, right? We are recording this right now through a computer screen, through Riverside.
Multiple.
And I want my kids to be able to do the wonderful things that these screens can provide us without it detaching them from their actual lived world around them. And I think of things like, and I think also of things like, in part of my research before you and I started doing stuff together, my research on psychological distance and narrative transportation, those things. If my kid wants to learn, or if my students need to learn about, biodiversity loss, well, it's going to be much easier to show them how that happens in a big, keystone sort of thing like this, like the Serengeti or something like that, through a documentary or through a really cool, web series or whatever it is, than it is for me to put them on a plane and take them to the Serengeti. That's not happening. Right. And so those are the reasons why I think that screens, like all things, are really useful in a lot of ways, but we've fallen down this path of, algorithms and doom scrolling and whatever. So yeah, a nuanced issue. Used correctly, used well, I think amazing. I think we should have balanced access to screens in schools. Because there are lots of opportunities there, but it cannot detach us from our lived world.
I think we live in times, that was a beautiful and reflective answer. Mine is glib. I think we live in times where people need something to freak out about. And this feels like the next best thing to freak out about when people don't want to freak out about politics and a war. So they pick something to freak out about. That's my first thing to say. And my second thing to say, there's truth to every single thing you just said. And I'm in 100% agreement, but I kind of want to be funny too. And then my other part of response is, that's interesting, adults. You put your screen down first and then we'll talk.
Oh yeah.
Right. No. Don't do as I say, not as I do. Don't take away my screens. But no, you 4-year-old. No.
I mean, this happens in our house. My 5-year-old, my 8-year-old will call me out when they see me looking at my phone. And I'm like, oh, you are absolutely right. But I try to remind them too of I didn't grow up in a time where parents were aware of this being a thing.
That's true.
And so like I am battling my own thing with it here, and I'm working on it, and I'm doing better than I thought I would be doing with it. But you, my kids, also have the advantage of me knowing better, and so me trying to teach you something that I was not taught.
In a different and more attuned and more thoughtful, right?
Like
way.
absolutely. I took my son on a hike on Saturday morning. We had a great time.
Where'd you
I
go?
pulled out my phone just to Valley Forge. Went hike in Valley Forge.
You need to teach me, show me.
Oh, I can. But like, how cool is it that I could pull out my phone, open up the Merlin bird app, and like I know everything, every bird that's around us. And I was like, oh, cool. There's an oven bird over here. Let's see if we can find it. Let's look through the forest floor here and see if we can find the oven bird nest. Right? I couldn't do that without having a device with me. And so that's what I mean by like the device is a really amazing tool. But we've turned it into, like we've turned many things into, we've turned it into something that's, that's also brutal, absolutely brutal.
So this is interesting because you slow walked us to our guest today, which is perfect and unplanned. You connected us with this guest for this week, Zach.
Yeah,
which was a fascinating conversation.
I have said before that Zach has saved my life because
and he's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy too. Zach is a physical therapist. He runs Home Team Wellness, it's called. But I think a physical therapist, not in maybe the way that you think of physical therapy normally. His physical therapy is very much in the gym. You are in the gym. You are doing the work. You are fixing your body. You are being attuned to your body, and you are fixing your body.
Phenomenological therapy, almost,
which is a phenomenological approach to physical therapy, which is something that I sort of tried to tell him before, but I don't know if he was totally into it. But you'll see in this episode that he fully leans into it. If you don't know, I am a hockey player. Played my whole life. Grew up skating on a pond on the farm. Played in college. All these things my kids play. Through that, you get hurt. I have a couple of herniated discs in my back, and so Zach.
You said it's called hockey back, right?
It's called hockey back. The specific injury that I have is called hockey back.
Yeah. So this is the thing.
It's a thing. So Zach has been the one who's gotten me back out on the ice, and it's because of his approach to physical therapy. I tried other physical therapists that just didn't work, but his approach definitely worked. And I think his AI use is interesting because, as someone who works with the body and with movement, he feels pretty clearly that the AI is not going to do much for him there. Right?
But there are ways in which it does show up. And that's what is interesting in the conversation.
Yeah. So enjoy this interview with Zach, and we'll see you on the other side for the breakdown.
Yeah.
I am really grateful to have Zach Juliano here on board. Zach is, I've been calling him my savior because listeners of the podcast might know I'm a hockey player. I've played hockey my whole life. I grew up skating on the farm and, all the way up to now. And I thought a year ago that I was all done when I herniated some discs in my back. I thought I was done. And it was depressing. And Zach saved my life. And I already know what Zach is going to say. Zach is going to say, "Oh, I didn't do anything, Sean. It was all because of your hard work." Because that's the kind of guy that Zach is. No, I would not be here without Zach. Zach is a physical therapist. He runs Home Team Wellness, which is his physical therapy company. He has his doctorate in physical therapy from Newman University. Longtime hockey player, and just an all-around awesome guy. Zach, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, Matthew and Sean, thanks for having me, guys. Super happy to be here, chat a little bit about things that matter to most people in the AI world, I'm sure, and we'll touch on some other things that people may or may not care about in our personal lives. But you hit the nail on the head there, Sean. You did the work. All I did was give you the blueprint roadmap. You followed it. You stuck to it. It's we'll talk more about my physical therapy philosophies along the way. But seriously, the patients that I work with, they should be motivated. They should want to get better. They should be striving to do something that they can't do, that pain has inhibited them from doing. And when I get people that are motivated and do the work I need them to do outside of PT, that's what leads to the success stories and them calling me their savior. Yeah. So it works. It works in full circle.
Well, and I think I think it'll come up later when we talk, but like, before I saw Zach, I went to a pretty generic physical therapy firm and I was there for 9 months and nothing. I had there was no improvement. I was with Zach for what, 6 weeks, 2 months. And all of a sudden I was back on the ice again, playing twice a week. And I think that it's the generic touch from the generic place to the very personalized touch from someone like Zach that was a big difference. And I think that'll come up in our conversation later.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you only, Zach, work with folks in that hockey space or in that particular?
No, I'm not exclusive to just that sport. I tell people that my population of people is active people. Everyone's like, oh man, your social media is a lot of athletes and it's a lot of kids and it's a lot of people that play a sport. I'm like, yes, but athletes are described in many different ways. So, I mean, I don't care if you're 50, if you're striving to get back to something athletic, you're an athlete, right? I like to consider myself still an athlete at the age of 34, even though the things that I do are not as competitive as they once were at 18. So, ice hockey, baseball, football, lacrosse, doesn't matter if it's pickleball, golf, pickup hockey, men's league. Just the recreational person that works out, does fitness classes, weekend warriors. Really anyone in that age range of 14 to whatever. We got a 72-year-old guy right now, golfer, very avid. 6 days a week that he's out there, he's playing, and he's an athlete. Does not matter.
6 days a week of golf, my gosh.
Yeah, this guy's a maniac. But so it's like the athlete can be described on so many different spectrums, and I think it's sometimes easier understood for folks that are in the regular world to just think of it as an active person is an athlete. So tons of different varieties of people that I treat.
Got it.
So Zach, the premise of the podcast is we talk about, sort of how you use AI and where you start to draw your different lines. So I'm curious, like in your day to day, where are you using AI at all in your practice?
Yeah, I try and separate it. Like the physical therapy practice and running it is totally different from the physical therapy administration and delivering the care. So I'm using it a lot more on the end of just operating a physical therapy company. So very present on social media, Instagram, Facebook, just rolling out content about what I do, what my patients do, how successful they are, and sometimes about how successful they once were not and how we've gotten them to a successful point. So I love to use AI to help create, my content, my videos, keeping them short, concise, and keeping things consistent so that people watch it and they're not bored. Same thing with my thoughts and what I write. Sometimes I got, 7 paragraphs or something. I want to really champion someone like Sean, right? I want to say why he's done so well. And I'm like, here's a whole novel about it. Nobody wants to read that. So, how can I bring all my thoughts into one short, concise paragraph that people are going to read and not just glaze over? So I'm using AI a bit in that world. And in that space, just to keep everything super consistent, relevant on social media. And then, I could use it. I'm not, in maybe bringing together some data for myself. Maybe visits and how I'm turning phone calls into actual clients coming into the door. Again, I am not using it in that space. I'm sure there's tons of relevance for it. I'm just not. And then in the space where I kind of draw my line in the sand is really the patient care side of it. And you mentioned it already, Sean, and Matthew, I know you're interested in hearing about it too, but there's so much generic PT nowadays. And if I'm using AI, that's all I am, is I'm a generic therapist giving generic care. Someone walks in with back pain, here's a 35-year-old male who plays ice hockey, has back pain. Give me a treatment plan. There's no uniqueness to that. There's nothing personal about that. No injury is the same. No body type is the same. No athlete is the same. And I just draw a really hard line in the sand about not using AI in the actual delivery of my PT care. So that's a little bit of where I am using it, certainly where I could be using it more, and then definitely where I'm not using it and really, really not open to using it at all either.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, that comes through in the actual practice where when I come in and see you, we're talking about hockey strides. We're talking about the twist of a shot and all these things that I don't think that an AI is going to be able to necessarily pull into a workout plan. You said you don't really use it so much for your pipeline, your sales pipeline, or your business pipeline, whatever you want to call it.
But the content
you are. I'm wondering if that's is that was that a decision you made? Is it is it a skill or knowledge gap? What do you think?
But also,
It's
can I add in what are you
Yeah.
using? Because I don't know anything in this space, so teach
Oh
me.
yeah, and what tool are you using?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure, Sean, it's probably a bit of a knowledge gap. I think the huge disconnect with the physical therapy education and then actually going out into the real world is the business side of it. You know, we learn so much about biology and science and the body and anatomy and all that is incredibly key, but they don't really teach you how to be kind of like an entrepreneur. They don't teach you how to own your own business. And I think if
Mm.
you guys talked to me about AI while I was in school, I would be like, wow, it has so much relevance to practice. But until you get out into the real world, you don't realize that everything is not the same.
Huh.
And I wish they taught us that. The
Yeah.
textbook only goes so far. It doesn't help you actually deliver care.
Hmm.
So, I think that some of it is knowledge gap in the business side of it, right? If they taught me a little bit more about how to run my own business, how to do things financially and how to manage and manipulate those numbers to become a little bit more net positive in income and all that
Mm.
stuff. I'd probably use AI a little bit more there. So a
Mm.
lot of the things I've learned in like the business world is kind of more self-taught and
And
just
you
trying
went
to
out and
get a
got it
knowledge
yourself.
and yeah, you know what I mean? Even in
Yeah.
the previous places that I've worked, just asking the right questions as a PT. Hey,
Hmm.
we're going through insurance. Why are we doing this? Why are we charging that? How
Hmm.
does this work from a copay perspective? What if their insurance has run out? Why are we charging this number? Where is
Mm.
the value of PT at? And I think for me, again, if I had a little bit more knowledge in school about that, I'd probably be implementing AI in that world better.
Hmm.
So yes, probably knowledge gap a little bit. What I'm doing is working, so I don't know if it's like what's broke,
It's because you're
what's
good at what
not
you do.
broke,
Well, yeah.
why
Why fix
why
it?
try
Yeah.
and fix it? Yeah, so I'm like,
Yeah.
why do I need to figure out why do I need to use AI to convert a phone call into an actual patient visit if I'm already getting the
Yeah.
patient visit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Something about the way I'm talking to them and preaching my philosophy in
Your
PT
approach.
is working. And I don't
Yeah.
think AI could give that. Or maybe use AI to field these phone calls. I don't know.
Mm. Well, no, it's like you said.
People
I
want to
think
hear
I
a
think
person.
yeah, and people are coming to you, sometimes coming from like me, coming from the big generic PT firm and looking for someone who is a little more personalized and like I want to talk to you. I want to work with you. I don't want to talk to some robot somewhere. I want to fix
Yeah,
my body. Yeah.
absolutely.
So
But
what are you what are you
what are you
using for your
using for
social
the
media
making?
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my social media, I'm using a little bit of CapCut, so that kind of brings all my videos together.
What
Yeah.
is
And it's
okay, Zach? I'm really dumb. What
yeah,
is CapCut? A number of people say it, and I just go, "Oh yeah," and I just shake
yeah.
my head, but I don't know what it is.
Same. Yeah. No, I do to some degree, but I don't to another degree. Social
What
media
is it?
influencers probably know way more about it than I do. If you guys look at my videos, they're short, they're sweet, they're simple. Hours and hours a day and a week on this. Like I can't do it. You look at these people that
Uh,
have hundreds of thousands of followers and they post every single day. I think they probably use CapCut to its fullest. And it's an application similar to your Instagram, similar to all of your other social media where you're collecting videos and pictures and you're putting it into a montage and collage. And AI can really come in to bring in captions and it can be used to
okay.
like scrub over audio. And
Okay.
much like Sean's describing with Riverside here, if I give it 2 minutes of content, it can bring all that down and shrink it into a 30-second clip that's user friendly for social media. And it'll scrub over the audio, it'll make it blend nicely, it'll have the transitions and sequencing in there and organized. But you got to pay for that.
I was just
I'm
going to say,
sure.
is it
I'm sure
pay?
that's
Is it paid or
expensive.
is it free? Is
I'm
there a
rocking the
free
free
version?
version over here,
I
and
was
I'm
going to
using it
say,
to its
hey,
fullest
Yeah,
capabilities.
why not?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm loving its features. It's got great AI features that are included in the free version. And I'm sure that again it scales and can be
Yeah.
utilized so much more when you start to pay for it. But
But that's got to
that's
be
what I'm
freeing
using
up
to
so
bring
much
the
time for
videos
you.
together. It is. It really, really is.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to string all that together myself, and I think about
Who
like
has
the
that kind
old
of time?
school, you got to hire somebody else. You
Right.
do, or it's got to be your primary job, and somebody else has to deliver the care. Like if I'm going out and hiring a social media manager or something like that.
Mm,
But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just takes away from the personality of it all from
yeah.
my perspective. But then I use a bit of ChatGPT too. So when I'm bringing
What?
together some of like my captions and
Well, I
things
was going to
like
say, what
that,
are you using chat for?
I'm usually bringing in my content. I'm not tapping chat to tell me hey, write up a sentence or paragraph about the hip. I'm
Right.
bringing my own thoughts and words and verbiage into chat, and I'm having chat sort of shorten it and shrink it in a more concise way. Or sometimes I have so many thoughts and it just doesn't feel like it's stringing together correctly in a couple of sentences.
Right.
So I'll put it all in there and I'll bring a couple different versions together of what it might look like in 2 to 3 sentences, and I'll see which ones it spits out, bring them both together, all three of them together in a way that I like. It's
Synthesize.
just
Yeah.
kind of like another brain for me, which is
Do
nice.
you type to it or you talk to it?
I type to it, which is probably
Okay.
inefficient, but that's just who I am.
One of the first things that Sean and I we did another research project, which I guess is still ongoing.
Still ongoing, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's always
but
going.
I had Sean talk to chat, and
Okay.
fast forward,
It's uncomfortable.
fast forward, he hated it. He hated it. He hated it. But I watch
That's
Zach.
so
To your
funny.
point, I watch other people do the like, bah, 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 bah. They're always talking to it, and I sort of envy that. I don't know, facility.
I know. Yeah, the dictation stuff is crazy. I have a friend who's like a social media manager, and she's
This is their
education by
job.
trade, and she
Yeah.
went into this world, and good for her because she saw the huge shift in AI and content creation and how it's a job. Like again, if you want to do this perfectly, and I was striving for followers and I wanted to be, the brand ambassador of PT across all social media and make that my job, it would take hours and hours of work. I'd have to employ somebody. And
Yeah.
people are seeing this avenue to be the content creator and social media manager. Could you imagine doing that for multiple companies?
Right.
5, 6, 7 days a week? You have to dictate. There's no way you can sit there and type and do all this. You have to be comfortable with the dictation and talking. You'd have to.
Even Zach, us, Sean and I figuring out how to do this is like on top of real life.
Yeah.
Is like,
so
oh my
hard.
gosh, it's exhausting.
Like scheduling this, and it's So thank God for Riverside.
I know. Yeah,
Zach,
really making you guys' life easy.
You have a pretty clear line that you and I have talked to in person, and you've sort of talked about here as well. Of you're not using AI when it comes to your patients' bodies and your patient care,
right?
So talk to us a little bit about your physical therapy philosophy, your philosophy for practice here, and why you don't think AI can do the job that you do.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons when you understand anatomy in the body and movement, it really is about everything. And it's so funny because so many people will walk in, and not that they're mistrusting what I'm talking about, but I can tell they're looking at me like, all right, dude, you're talking a lot about X and Y. Let's get to Z already. I have knee pain. Why are you telling me about my hip? Why are you telling me about my spine? Why are we talking about my foot and ankle and what it does? And it's because it freaking matters. And I don't think AI understands that. And again, not that I've tried it, because what I'm doing is working, and why, again, try and fix what isn't broken. But if somebody comes in with knee pain, you need to look upstream and downstream. And really, the knee might just be the area that is the weak point. It might be the area that's talking to the individual that's hurt, but it might not be the true root of the problem. And I think a lot of times when people are doing their job outside of health and medicine and wellness, the answers are so clear. It's like math. You do the problem, you do the multiplication, and you solve the answer. And it's right there. And in the PT world and the rehab world, you got to do it in reverse. I mean, you know where the pain's at, and technically that's the problem, but you need to solve why that is the problem. And it's not just trying to figure out what's going on at the knee. It's looking everywhere else. So I know my philosophy, and a lot of people's, I think, that do PT correctly, is looking at the body as a whole. And, we'll bring your case into this, Sean. Your back, right? That was the weak point. That was the area that you were feeling the pain in, but it was not the root of the problem. You could have come in 7 days a week and seen me, and I could have massaged your back and given you tissue work and cracked it. And we could have addressed that till the cows come home. You would have never have gotten better. I think you've experienced that for 9 months and never did get better. And even in moments where you did feel better, you weren't, because you went out and you played hockey, and what happened? You got hurt,
came right
right?
back. Yeah.
And you went in that constant pain cycle that you and I have talked ad nauseum about, where you feel good, you do something that is once painful to you, and it recreates pain. So you stop doing it again, and you become weaker, and then you rest while you're getting weaker, and you feel better, you think you're better, and you go back and do what hurt you again,
Right.
and you get re-hurt. And every time you're bringing your baseline down. So your new functional level is here. And then you get hurt again, and then it's there. And then you get hurt again, and it's there. And you've brought yourself to rock bottom.
Well,
We found out. Keep going.
Yeah, I was gonna say to that point, like the at the first PT place, it was a lot of like, we got to do this kind of stretching, and we have to work on your core muscles, but like not your core the way that you talk about it, Zach. Your core is in like your abs. You've always talked about core as like this X across your body, right? Your knee to your chest, and it's a whole different thing. And like what you and I found was that stretching actually isn't a problem at all. I'm a pretty flexible guy, so it's more building up strength in certain areas. And it's funny, like I don't think we ever actually targeted I guess targeted is the wrong word. We never actually worked on the back. We worked on a bunch of other things. And by working on a bunch of those other things, the back feels good.
Exactly. Yeah, we addressed the true asymmetries of your body, right? Groin strength, which was non-existent, being able to load your body into rotation, which is exactly what sports are, especially ice hockey. And in turn, we fixed and corrected the actual pain that you were feeling. So a lot of my philosophies, they're centered around figuring out what is causing the pain, not where the pain is at. And a lot of times you'll find that it's involving the entire body. And the unfortunate part of the traditional style of PT and the world that's governed by insurance is they don't understand. And I don't think chat and AI does either. If the insurance world doesn't understand it, how's chat and AI going to understand that a knee pain is coming from the ankle or the way somebody's hip works? They're going to talk all about the knee, and that's not where the problem's at.
And to your point, I know you said you haven't tried this. I have. I said to Claude, my back hurts. Here's all the things that are going wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do I do to fix this?
Yeah,
the same thing my other physical therapist said. Bird dogs,
that's interesting.
Crunches, like all the same kinds of things. Stretching this way, doing this kind of move.
Yeah.
And it just never worked. It never worked.
Doesn't.
And I think
it works temporarily.
Yeah, like you might like it did the other place. It's like you said, you go in this pain cycle where like you feel a little bit better because you've done a couple of things, and then you go out and then you skate again, and it all hurts again. So it might give me a temporary fix, but like you said, like I've always said, this is a long-term fix that I'm going for here. I recognize that this is where I'm at as an aging
in life
person.
Yeah. The pressures of being a dad of 4
and having 4 kids. I think you say that, that's one of the other things is like when I come in and talk to you, it's talking about like, this is what my workday looks like. This is what hockey looks like. This is what my coaching looks like. I have 4 kids. This is what that looks like. This is all the different things where, the outcome is yes, like let's get back on the ice, but the outcome is also like, I got to be able to like bend down and pick up a child.
Yeah, like
I want to lay on the floor with my dog and like give her some love sometimes. So like this, there are those things that like you don't get from a generic PT recommendation.
You don't,
right? If I say I'm occupied, my back hurts, I'm gonna get like very specific things back. But with you, it's like this is a whole life situation here.
Yeah, and I see it all the time. I really, really do. It doesn't matter if somebody's in their 30s or in high school in their teenage years, right? They come in and people treat them at face value for what their pain is. And they don't listen to them, and they don't care to ask questions. They don't care to figure out how they move. For me, I would throw away every single special test and assessment tool that I've ever been taught if it gave me the time to just watch somebody move. You learn so much from watching somebody squat, watching them get up from a chair, watching them get down to the ground, watching them lift something. And everybody wants to lay someone down on a table, and they want to take them through 40 minutes of all this testing, and the textbook told me this, and hell, even if they use chat and Claude and all this AI, they told me that I'm supposed to screen a knee and a back this way. Why? What do they know about the person that's in front of you? They know absolutely nothing. The textbook, chat, AI, it can't replace in PT and rehab and wellness. It cannot replace the actual eyes of the individual. It just can't. I don't care what somebody says. We got you right now telling us live and in action, you used Claude, it did not fix you. Hell, you used an actual PT who potentially was using Claude, and it didn't fix you. It took somebody really, having a personalized approach, listening to you, watching you move, being in a one-on-one setting, and paying attention for 60 minutes of time, and stringing together consistent movements in where you were demonstrating asymmetries to make you feel better. So I think we're super protected in my profession with that. And honestly, the more AI develops, I think it only speaks more strongly to somebody that does what I do. AI can keep developing. I don't fear my job. I don't fear my profession. If more people want to use it and less people are getting better, that's probably going to make me busier.
I was gonna,
Yeah, which is great. Awesome.
Zach, do you know how you learned to this approach or this philosophy? Can you point to a specific thing?
I mean, in school, I was blessed enough to have a really personal education. I was in a smaller university, 28 to 30 people cohort over at Newman. Faculty to student ratio was like 3-to-1 students to faculty. You get some of these larger universities, Thomas Jefferson, Temple, some of the ones just in this area that I'm naming, where maybe the faculty to student ratio, or student to faculty, I should say, is maybe like 10-to-1. And they got a class size of closer to 100. And it's a little less personal. And I feel like you're getting a little less reps of direct hand-on supervision. So I think that was part one, but unfortunately they need to teach you how to take the test. And when you're a PT and you go to school, you have to take a licensing exam afterwards. So they can't totally spin the entire program about what they feel. But I think that was probably a huge step in the right direction of learning that, like, hey man, the body is the body and it's going to be different with everybody that you see. And it's not just about the textbook. They set a good framework for that. And then really my clinical experiences. I've been blessed to work underneath and alongside of so many great PTs that really, really preach that. And I was able to work down at a hip institute in the Navy Yard, Vincera Institute. And we treated hip and core injuries. And a lot of people thought that meant literally just the belt line. And really what I learned there from all these people that I worked with and alongside of and underneath of was that the core it's your entire body. It's the center of it. It's the framework. It's the scaffolding. It's the structure. It's the nipples to the knees, and how you move in your arms and legs is dependent upon how stable you are in the center of your body. And there, I got tons of people that came in with injuries that weren't related to their hip and their knee, or at least where the pain was at. And it always came back to that. It was about the core. It was about the center of the body. And that really brought me to just learn more and take more continuing education on treating the body as a whole and figuring out the root of the problem and not just the Band-Aid of the problem, which is where the pain is usually at, not where it's being caused from. So,
Matthew, do you know what I'm realizing that Zach needs to read?
There's a lot. What?
I'm gonna hold this up right now for the listeners.
I mean,
there we go. This book is called The Primacy of Movement.
I mean,
Maxine Sheets Johnson.
It'll
I
blow
was
your
hoping it was
mind.
written by Matt. Never mind.
It is very heavy,
But you were
dense
going to show me a book
philosophy, though,
produced
Zach.
by you two.
No, it's very. But what you're describing, Zach, is so phenomenological.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about
phenomenological. Give me the definition of that.
Good. I'm going to make Sean do it. Sean,
Oh, shoot.
I know we've talked a little bit about it.
So phenomenology, it's a philosophy and a methodology, but a research methodology, but it is really thinking about the essence of our lived experience. So taking away the over reliance on data, I would say, and science, and getting down to like what is actually in front of me, what am I actually experiencing right now. So, and to add, it is not, because I think I need to start making this clarification. It is not an anti-science stance at all.
No.
In fact, I think that the version of phenomenology that I subscribe to is
complementary.
They're complementary, and the two actually complete each other. But it's the way that you're talking right now, where you know
exactly. You have to look at the whole. You have to look at the context.
Yeah. The biology textbook. You're a phenomenologist.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a phenomenologist. Is that a word?
You kind of are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of are.
But the biology tells you that this muscle does this, and like you have to use this test to figure out this thing. The phenomenology tells you, well, the back hurts because you've been bending over to pick up the 3-year-old, and because you're skating this way, and because you're doing this. Like it's attending to the experience that's happening in front of you. And we, Matthew and I, our research is in education. And so we think really deeply about like, what does it mean to teach and learn in a world where we are so driven by the quantitative. And I think your approach to PT very much is a phenomenological approach. And like we joke, but like this book, The Primacy of Movement, is exactly the things you're talking about. It is dense. It is dense, heavy philosophy, but it is the things that you are talking about. It is how our body moves, how our body reacts to different movements, how we attend to those movements. Yeah.
She even goes so far as to say that the original binary. So, like in life, humans, we're great, right? Like light and dark, good and bad, up and down, left and right. Like everywhere we look, humans make things into two groups: us versus them, right? It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But she traces back, and she's on this in that book. She traces it back to, I mean, and this is sort of out there, but I mean, there's a case for it if you think about it. That original sense of the binary comes from us being bipedal, right?
Okay.
That's we're literally symmetrical.
Yeah. The literal, like we have two eyes, two ears. We walk on 2 feet, right? Like that is so encoded in our body and in our movement that's why we see, right? It literally forms our consciousness.
Yeah. It's developed from the start of life. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. And you guys use the word complementary. That's exactly correct. Right? I do use quantitative and objective data, but it's just that it's the numbers, man. That's all they are, and they're really good to utilize to reinforce progress or identify asymmetries. But it always comes back to the movement. The numbers could be great. You could be really good at taking the test.
Right.
You can be, but that's not enough, right? And getting people back from injury and screening them to make sure they're ready for their sport and there's no fear or reducing the risk of re-injury. The numbers are fantastic. I love them. I present them a lot to doctors. I present them to patients to really show them, hey, this is how much better you've gotten. And this is what the numbers are telling us. But then a lot of times I'm tying it into movement too. And I'm like, but this is what your movement looks like. And you're still a little hesitant in the real life world of sport or function. So we got to get better at that.
One of the things that you do a great job of is like on your Instagram, you often will share a text message from a patient who just a really simple one that says like, hey, I got back out on the ice today and it felt great. Like, or I ran the marathon today and like everything held up. That's phenomenological data, right? That's the data that says the experience showed that everything is working the way it's supposed to work.
Absolutely right. Sometimes I even dumb it down. I'm like, guys, I don't need some crazy test or battery of questionnaires. 0% is you rock bottom, no function, every day's a battle, you're not playing your sport, you're not active. And 100% is restriction free. Where are you at on the sliding scale? Like, talk to me subjectively. Where are you? Where do you think you're at based on everything you're doing, sun up to sundown, week to week?
Said the word, Matthew.
That's it.
Drop the word subjectively and say phenomenologically, and that's the same thing.
You are, Zach, you are a phenomenologist, whether you like it or not. You are talking about the phenomenological method right now.
I was just saying, get those business cards.
Phenomenologist from here on out.
Get those business cards updated.
Is there an abbreviation I could put like after my name?
Phenom.
Phenom.
Okay. I could do that.
Phenom.
PT, phenom.
Could be short for phenomenal.
There you go.
Yeah, people won't even know.
Well, Zach, this has been awesome. Yeah. This has been really good, and I'm glad to have you on because Matthew knows like a lot of my research is centered on the body and embodiment, and so I knew having you on here would be a good conversation to have. So, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for giving us your insights. And we'll be sure to, in our show notes, link to Home Team Wellness and all of his Zach's places. You can see all of his amazing work on his Instagram. And I cannot recommend Zach enough to anyone needing PT in the area. He has seriously fixed my life. I'm back on the ice and having a great time.
Fixed my life. I appreciate that.
He fixed my life.
I did. Yeah, it was as much physical as it was emotional and.
It's true.
Zach said you're welcome.
Yeah.
Zach
It was
said
mental
you're
health
welcome.
and physical therapy. It was everything in a whole, right?
It's true.
It was phenomenologically sound.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah,
Learning phenomenologists all the time.
Yeah, Sean, Matthew, it was great. And you mentioned it already, but if anyone's looking to find at Home Team Wellness on Instagram, present on Facebook, my information is out there on the internet, webpage, hometeamwellness.com. Tons of stuff available for people to read, and then just reach out to me to get connected with more. So Thank you guys for having me.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Have a good one.
See you.
See ya.
So I don't know if we believe in soulmates or in like parallel universes or anything, but that was like seeing another embodiment of, no pun intended, of my supervisor, Stephen.
Oh,
That was
really?
like,
Okay. Tell me about that.
That was like, I had never had someone in my entire life speak about sport, athletics, movement, the body, until I sat in my very first doc class at Simon Fraser. And it was with Stephen Smith, who ended up being my supervisor for my dissertation. And the way that he spoke paralleled exactly what Zach was saying. That was, I mean, it was the bells in my head of phenomenology were just going ding, 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 ding.
So you can see why I wanted to have him on.
Yeah, and you've wanted to have him on for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
And
but
you
like,
can see,
just
like,
naming it.
So, like, now imagine me, like, in the gym with Zach doing workouts and the whole time thinking, like, man.
You're like, something about this feels right. Yeah, something about this is clicking.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, like, I partially showed the primacy of movement as a joke, but, like, he is talking about the primacy of movement.
Yeah, he is. My favorite is when he said, I'm just naming it. Again, we're not giving out medical advice. We're not doing any of that nonsense. But him speaking about not doing the test, but watching someone stand up, watching someone bend over, that is phenomenological seeing. It is someone watching to see what is the experience of the other person as they engage in this movement. Can I recognize it, and can I help them see what this is telling us, what this is communicating? That's phenomenology.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can speak, you know, for me with the hockey stuff, you know, him as a hockey player, we talk about how, you know, true inhabitation, true embodiment, it starts with your own process of bringing things into your body schema, of applying things into your body schema. You know, he knows my body schema because he has the same body schema. Do you know what I mean? Like, he understands the movement of a hockey stride or the play of hockey because he plays hockey. And so when we do our workouts, when we do our physical therapy, he is using his body to help explain my body, which I think is I don't know, for me was the big difference, I would say.
What's the...
I was going to say, and I think one of the reasons that I wanted to bring him on is because, you know, that my phenomenological orientation begins in the body always, is that everything starts with the body. And this has been one of my things with the AI side of things, which is that I don't know that AI can understand the body because it does not have a body. And I think Zach does a great job of sort of articulating that with his philosophy towards physical therapy of, you know, Claude doesn't know the body the way that Zach knows a body, the way that I know my body, right? Claude can't make the connection between my back hurting to the millions of things that happen in my day that require the back, right? Claude does not have a back.
What's the difference between, because I think there is, but what's the difference between, you said you both have the lived experience of playing hockey. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between you two both read the same book and can have a conversation? I think there is a difference. But what's the difference between you both have read the same book and have a conversation about it versus you both have lived and moved in a similar structured way and have conversations about that?
I mean, I think when you're reading a same book or you're like listening to the same podcast or whatever, you are attending to one person's thought in the same way, and you're incorporating that into your own self, I guess. But I think the difference here is that instead of us relying on some third party, some third thing to attend to,
it's more immediate.
It's more immediate. And I think one of the things that I was going to say in this wrap up was, you know, Zach kind of alluded to at the end, but I think a big part of what made this work for he and I was there's a relational aspect of this.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a fundamental, you have both connected.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that I had the same experience or had the same outcome
prior.
without having this relational experience. And I think that what makes, two people reading a book and sharing that shared interest interesting is that the relation is not necessarily with each other. It is with, you have a shared relation with another thing. Do you know what I mean? Like if you and I both read Being in Time, our relation is now mediated through Being in Time.
As opposed to being mediated through an embodiment.
Yes.
That's interesting. If both you and I have had the experience of, I haven't, but I'm just going to use it as an example. Both you and I have torn our ACLs. Mm-hmm. Then we both have fundamentally experienced something in our bodies. And even when we share about it, even if we experienced it differently, we still experienced something similar. That someone, like, think about have you had your wisdom teeth out?
No, I still have mine.
Okay, so like, if you did right now, or here you go, kidney stone. You've had kidney stone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hello, fellow kidney stone brethren.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
When you meet people who've done it, you're like, oof.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you think my default is to say Zach's right. You're right about the embodiment and the line with AI. I don't necessarily feel strongly about it in an ethical sort of way, but it seems to me sort of like right.
Well, I think it depends on the what you're using it for. Like I think,
okay.
So I think Zach is ethically doing the right thing here because when your job is related to the body,
mm-hmm.
I don't know that you can rely on AI to know the body the way Zach does. Now, if your job is graphic design, I don't know if embodiment matters so much there, unless you are designing or drawing a bodily portrait or something.
Like, two things have just jumped to my mind. The first is you've seen, or maybe I feel like every couple of months, memes or little clips make the rounds in social media of various research groups testing robots. Mm-hmm. And we humans, I think maybe universally, maybe I'm wrong, universally, we humans love when robots fail. We think it's so funny, right? Because we like, wow, the wind blew and it fell over. And you're like, like, right? Like, we'll be okay. But so that's my number one. But like, there's obviously something clearly, there's a group of people that are humans that think we should really be trying to have embodied AI or embodied technologies. But then the other follow-up is like, why do they look like us? Why? I mean, they don't have to necessarily look human or humanoid. Right. So there's obviously something. Yeah. The dog ones. Yeah. Right. But so that's one thought. And then my second thought is, the faculty development stuff I do. We had some nursing faculty share some of the simulations that they use. VR. I mean, they're simulations. They were on the computer. They didn't have a headset or anything. Right. But it's a VR of common nursing interactions with patients. And yes, there are points when here's where you would go take the temperature. Here's where you would go listen for breathing. Here's where you would go do blood pressure. I'm assuming that at some point you go, they obviously they do that on their rounds, but everybody was just okay with them looking at it on a simulation. Mm-hmm. He has to, as part of some of his education, at some point done some kind of simulation-y kind of stuff. Yeah. But still, he ended up where he ended up. I don't know.
So what brought him there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, he made a decision that mm-hmm. the simulation wasn't it.
Have you done CPR training?
Mm-hmm.
You do it on that dummy. Is that dummy not just literally a dummy version of a robot? It's simple. It's not electronic. Yeah. It's a simulation. But you know what? It taught me how to do those compressions.
But have you had to do those compressions on a human?
I have not. And I have.
Do you feel confident you'd be able to?
Nope. I would do it, but I would be worried I'd hurt somebody. But at that point, I remember them telling you, you're not supposed to worry about that. You're supposed to worry about just getting their heart back on.
But so here's where the embodiment part comes in, is like when you're doing CPR training on a dummy, like it's, not a big deal. When you're doing CPR in person, you are stressed, you are out of your mind, you are worried, you're all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's a different situation completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. On your robot embodiment thing,
Yeah.
I'll take you back to one of my 7th grade classes where we talked robotics, and I would always show the students video of the like Boston Dynamics dog robot thing. But one of the ways they tested it is that someone would kick it and like knock it over or like push it or whatever. And we'd always been having like a full class long conversation about half the group would look at that and laugh and giggle, and half the group would feel bad. They would be like, that poor thing.
Yes.
And I would always say, about? How interesting.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah. And it's because I watched that and I feel like, oh, that poor thing. Why are we doing this?
Oh, you do?
Yeah, oh,
Not me. Kick it. Throw it out the window.
But it's just like something, to your point about like, why are we so worried about the AI being embodied that we have to build a human-like robot?
Are
we looking for that sort of like empathetic relational thing?
Has anybody ever like stopped and gone, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, for what purpose? What end? I also saw he's got an interesting overlay Zach does with Pastor Andrew. There is right there. There is my job.
Oh, yep.
Right, and then there's the administrivia that probably could be used. I'm not saying that the CapCut stuff is administrivia, but like that there are components of the job that you're not taught that are just part of it.
Which I think is a common running theme that we've seen even in research too. We've seen in teachers who are like happy to use it to, do the administrative stuff so that they could be teachers.
Mm-hmm,
and I think that this is a common thing that that like the hardcore anti-AI people hear that argument and have weird critiques about it. Where I'm like, I think it's a pretty valid argument that like AI lets you do the human stuff. Like if I can let AI handle my the nonsense, then like, I mean, just think about how you have built your, you've used Code or Codex now to like build things out for you so that it can handle your administrative garbage so that you can think, just so you have time to think and read.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is the ultimate goal, or to at least change my recognizing the capacities to engage with text at scale and levels that would have taken months.
Yeah.
Or brain power that I don't have time, but I can dip in for 10, 15 minutes rather than 3 hours when I can't right now.
Right. I'm not really sure why that's an argument against AI that or why people critique that. I think it's a very valid use.
I just, to land the plane a little bit, I think it's not my primary interest, embodiment is, but it is an interest. And obviously, I think that comes back through being trained by Stephen and having read a lot and taken classes in it. I think it's part of what connects you to me in that way. It's not my primary, but there's enough there that there's something there. But we are asking questions in the educational tenor. We just spoke to Zach in the body health movement sector. And there are other lines drawn around the intersection between humans and technology when it comes to health that we have just completely said, yeah, this is A-OK. Blood glucose monitors, check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're A-OK with that. Prosthetics, check. A-OK with that. My friends or colleagues who have had dialysis, like literally they have externalized the process of the kidneys. It's not ideal. There's tons of, right? But they are, in the Donna Haraway sense, cyborgs, right? They are the merging of human and technology. Those things we say, yes, absolutely okay. But then Zach, I think, is right and you're right in the, how on earth would you ever get an AI? Here I am saying this and I'll be wrong in 2 weeks. How on earth would you train an LLM on the embodiment of a back, like you said?
Right. You can't. I mean, you can't. It can give you an approximation based on average experiences, right? Sure.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It does not know that I lay on the floor with Rosie and pet her belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like too many variables.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, why? So
I have pushed Zach before and said, like, if you took he is someone who, as we do our physical therapy, he's taking super detailed notes the whole time of like, Sean was
Writing
able to do
them
this,
down?
this movement. He's typing them up in his computer, and he
Okay.
has some sort of like platform he uses on his end. And I said to
Audio
him before, I
recording.
was like, have you ever thought of like taking those notes and putting them in and seeing if it can make like a little profile of me? And then
That would
he
be
won't,
interesting.
he won't do it.
You could
Because
do
I think it goes against his philosophy. I'm curious though what it would spit out. Like, is 10 sessions of PT enough to create an average approximation of my body so that Claude has a better idea of how my body would work? But again, I just don't think that Claude or any of them can understand the body in the way that another human can.
I agree. I want to extend and point out something right there, the leap that just happened. I think if he wrote or spoke, so he would put his understanding into words, I think an AI could look at his knowledge as a representation of words that he put down, either spoken or written, and come up with an approximation of what he thinks is your understanding. But I don't think that would then necessarily make the jump to the actual lived experience reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but here we're going to Plato and Socrates.
Sure.
This is what, when I talk about embodiment, I'm talking about the primacy of movement, the Merleau-Pontian perception. I'm talking about the pre-reflective, before I have thought about it and written it down on words.
Yes, that's
There's
the
not
leap
a chance Claude knows that.
That's what I mean. I think it could go. It's like coming at it from two different directions. It gets to this gap,
right? Where he can sit there and take detailed notes. He can record audio of his voice, whatever he wants to do to share those thoughts.
But it will
never, those words will never get to the core of how his body feels or how my body feels.
Which is true in general.
Which is true of everything. Language, for all of its wonders and amazingness, as we've talked about before, it abstracts the experience.
Dang it, Abrams. Or Abram. I always get his name wrong.
Abram.
Right. All right, we got to stop. We have to stop.
We do got to stop. We got to stop. All right. Wonderful interview with Zach. Thank you again to Zach. We always say, there's just so much more to talk about. And if you want to follow up those conversations, you can find us on Instagram and on Substack, and peakslab.org. You can find Zach at hometeamwellness.com, and we will include all of those notes in the show notes. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us on the line, and we will catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean.